Yo, what's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin. And where do all fights start? Round one. Let's go. Yo, we have an amazing show for you here today. Let's break down this Conor Benn and Chris Eubank fight. It was an amazing fight, kicked off out there in the UK. And I want to talk about it. And I want to know your opinions. What's up, Carlos? Thank you for tuning in. And let's hop right into this episode. So, look, so Chris Eubank and Conor Benn went into this fight last night. And as far as the fight card itself, I felt that the fight card needed a little help. What's up, Frontline? How you doing in the building, brother? I felt like the card needed a little bit of help, but the main event, sure, in my opinion, exceeded expectation, meaning that some fight fans even hinted to the possibility that the fight was going to be what we consider like a front running fight, right? Where that we felt like that the fight was going to be highly competitive in the first round, and Chris Eubank Jr. was going to gas out because of his weight cut, and Conor Benn was going to gas out because of too much weight gained. They thought we were going to see a very sloppy fight at the end of, heading into the championship rounds, like 9, 10, 11, 12. A lot of fans felt that way. They were like, oh, this is all this is going to be. They're going to be throwing punches. It's going to be a reckless, rock'em sock'em type robot fight. And it's really not going to live up. And we were wrong. Most of us were wrong. This was a very good fight. But quickly I can see where that there was a lot of emotions in this fight. What's up, Salud? Gano Loco, how you doing in the building? Too much holding for me? Well, if you dial back a little bit of what your perception is on a skilled fighter, and just watch them for what they have to offer for skill, because it was quick. I quickly noticed that Chris Eubank Jr. never looked it good in the fight. His top body movement and his legs were never really underneath him. Let's just be honest. And then you got this, little freaking ball of muscles just throwing big punches. What really surprised me, I had to admit, was Conor Benn's gas tank, his training, and then at this point, I want to ask you, the viewing audience, leading into the fight, Conor Benn's dad on the post-fight interview said, yo, my son took William Skull, Saul Canelo Alvarez, soon-to-be opponent, and he made him quit in the 8th round. And we all said, oh, that's just a father boosting up his son, trying to sell the fight, right? But after witnessing that performance by Conor Benn, how much truth does that become? And now, what does that say about Saul's opponent? Right? You can't beat small ass 147 pounder Conor Benn moving up some weight. So I'm not saying that just automatically makes what he said true. No. No. He could be, exaggerating a little as a father, right? But I'm just curious. I'm just throwing that out there. See where that lands. I'm just gonna throw that out there, right? So, as far as the fight itself, what the situation was. We had a much bigger guy sacrificing a lot of weight. We had a small guy coming up, gaining weight. But the storyline behind the buildup, what the fathers did back in their day, set the tone for their night. They were actually able to capitalize off their father's success. Because let's just be honest, if we were talking about these two guys as American fighters, and that fight was over here with two American fighters, with what they achieved, Ain't no 65,000 people gonna show up to that. Tell you that right now. Okay? And it wasn't gonna be no pay-per-view fight. A lot of us kind of felt like, man, the Brits, y'all made us pay pay-per-view for that shit. Like, charged us in the US. You couldn't give us that fight. And, did that. You know how Saul does it, right? No Mexicans in Mexico pay for his fights. It's always free in Mexico for Saul. They make us pay for it, type shit. And we get it, right? Damn, you couldn't give us this one? But great fight. So the question stands. Where do they go from here? What is the next step? Now, in the heat of the moment, I quickly said rematch. I was a prisoner in the moment. I witnessed a good fight on their levels, but I had to assess the situation. At what price? Chris Eubank Jr. sacrificed a lot. What I saw, the weight cut he was making, it was all over social media. I wouldn't recommend him put himself through that again. Being the fact that, he already won the fight. He has nothing to prove. He's the winner. He won. He could ride off into the sunset. Now, Conor Benn, he came into the fight with sacrificing. Well, I wouldn't say sacrificing, but putting up something. Conor Benn came into that fight undefeated. He had it all. Oh, Conor Benn at least could say that. When he lost last night, that hurt. That's also the first time he ever lost a fight. Conor Benn feels like he wants some get back. That's like you beating me in craps in the dice table and you walking off with my money. What you mean? Let me get a shot at that back. Let me run that back. That's always going to happen. But at what price? Salute. Frequency, how you doing? And I'm like, damn, right? So now Chris Eubank Jr. is in the driver's seat. He's got to be the A side if they ever rematch it, right? So you're thinking, right, okay, check this out. Let's think of where both these fighters could go. Let's remember, it was an amazing fight, right? But they didn't turn into superior fighters overnight. Now, do they? Conor showed his grit, tenacity, his gas tank, his relentless pressure. Chris Eubank fought adversity and showed even at his weakest, he was still man enough to beat him, right? That's what they were putting up. When the fight kicked off, what really, there's a lot of things that go into a boxing match, right? But energy, the energy of the crowd, the energy of the event, the magnitude of at what's at stake will keep you on your feet sometimes. The fact that none of them want to be the first person to go down. Neither man wanted to take a step backwards. Chris Eubank Jr. couldn't fight going backwards, and Conor Benn kept pushing him back. They said that Chris Eubank Jr. was working the jab, and he showed that he could keep Conor Benn back. I'm like, how did he do that? His face is telling the other story. Conor Benn got to him. That jab didn't keep him at bay. He had to go to the hospital. How much did that jab keep him at bay then? So that wasn't the case. And so where do they go from here, right? Pride kept both those men up, let me tell you. And the energy in that building, it can do something to a fighter. When you're in the corner and you're a little bit huffing for air and you feel drained, You feel like you're at that moment, man. Then all of a sudden you hear the crowd chanting your name. There could be no better feeling to give you that boost of energy you were looking for. That to give you the fans are behind you, yelling your name. Come on, Chris! And he gets up and he could have been in a moment. We don't know this. We don't know. He could have been in a moment in the fight where he was like, man, I had enough. And the energy in the building got him to answer the bell. Just one more, man. And the next one was like, yeah, I got him that one. Okay, let's go. And then you keep willing yourself forward. That was a pretty tough fight, man. Shouts out to both men, but where do they go from here? When we think about options. Let's weigh the options, the pros, the cons. Let's see what could both fighters do. Now, since Chris Eubank Jr. won this fight, the talks already by the WBC is that the winner could possibly fight Saul Canelo Alvarez in some distant future. They like to throw around headlines in boxing, but they make a lot of promises when a lot of promises were already made. Hence, Saul Canelo Alvarez, isn't he fighting William Skull? And then after that, wasn't he supposed to fight Terrence Crawford? So I think his schedule is filled. At what point does Chris Eubank Jr. fit in there? When? Right? So, okay. So you think about the possibilities. Chris Eubank Jr. He either has to do one or two things. He couldn't make 160, bro. Right? That's where he's killing himself at. So if he goes up to 168 and he doesn't get a Saul Canelo Alvarez fight, then that means you don't get no world title fight. At 168, is 175 too big for David the Monster Benavidez? So, well, I mean, 175 at David the Monster Benavidez. I'm sorry. Let me back that up. I got it. I keep forgetting. David the Monster Benavidez messes me up in the weight because he's moved up. He's at 175. So 175 is that's too big for Chris Eubank Jr., right? Or is it? He'll get killed against David the Monster Benavidez, dude. He'll get murdered. So you don't want that monster, right? You can't get Saul Canelo Alvarez at 168 fighting a young bro Berlanga. You don't want to fight Berlanga, bro. Chris, you don't want to fight Berlanga. Knock you the hell out. Okay, so maybe he could go to 160. Jennerbeck? Shit. Jennerbeck, that's a tough fight. He has two belts. He has the IBF and the WBO. Does he fight 42-year-old Lara? I was just on the Boxing Voice. We were talking about this, and I'm just starting to do the math in my head alone without no other outside, so I'm breaking it down. Like, does this really make sense in my head? So I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn, Laura might take him to school, Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr.'s top upper body and his feet, they don't flow. He has this awkward step or movement, and he's not in place to throw the next punch. Laura could be a tough fight. Like I said, we were talking about this on the Boxing Voice. But when I have a time to be alone and really assess these fights on my own, and I'm not influenced by anybody's outside source or anything, and I'm going to be responsible for what I say and what I think. And I think they're right. I think they're right. I think they're right. I think Laura would be too much. So, like, what would you like Chris Eubank Jr. to do? And what would be a fight that could pull off 65,000 fans, right? And as far as Conor Benn goes, Conor Benn's situation doesn't get any better, right? Because Conor Benn moves. What is he going to do? Come back down to 154? Conor Benn at 154. Are you guys out of your mind? Every champion beats him, and the starting five beats him at 154. That is a one dangerous division. You got Bark how do you say his name? Brackham. I'm sorry, I'm messing up his name. Murder chick, right? Terrence Crawford Jr., Sebastian Fedora. You got Virgil Hill. You got Xander Zion. You got Erickson Lubin. You got Jesse Roman. You got um Callum Smith, Walsh, Tim Zoo, Perez, and you got the guy that, what was his name, that Terrence Crawford fought, Ismail Mardachev. Come on, all those guys will beat Conor Benn. He's too 154 is a monster division. So Conor Benn got up to like 156 in this fight right here. Does he drop back down to 147? Is that good for his body? Dropping all the way back down? Like, messing around with that weight. Roy Jones got knocked out like that. It's can't be good for your body. 28 years old. Chris Eubank Jr. being 35. What are their options here? What are their options? What's the next big fight? Do you put Conor Benn in against Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, the winner out of them? Do you put Chris Eubank Jr., the winner out of the Devin Haney, Arnold Barboza fight? Could he fight one of them? Or do these guys sacrifice it all to rematch it? What do you guys think? Where do they go from here? And that's my question to you guys. What should they do? What is the best fight for Conor Benn? What is the best fight for Chris Eubank Jr.? And should they rematch? Is the rematch healthy again? And does Chris Eubank Jr. hold all the cards and say, okay, you want a rematch? Then you got to fight me at 164. That way he doesn't have to kill himself in the weight cut. He'll be a little bit more heavier. Now, Conor Benn didn't even make all that weight. He got all the way up to 156. So you want him to gain more weight? He's probably just going to come into the fight 156 and just give away the 4 extra pounds to him. There was a rehydration clause in this fight for a reason. And we knew that Chris Eubank Jr., in order to make this fight competitive, you had to weaken him. It was kind of like in the Gladiator movie, right? Remember at the end, the ending scene in the Gladiator movie, right? What did the Emperor do? He had the gladiator tied up and he stabbed him underneath his arm, right? And clipped, so to speak, one wing. He clipped one arm. And that's kind of what they did to Chris Eubank Jr. Let's not ignore that. They kind of handicapped him because, rightfully so, this fight should have never took place. For the size of the men, it really never should have took place. But what does this say? What does this say to men that these things that they say in boxing? Oh, you just can't jump up 2-3 weight divisions. It won't work for you. You saw how Jamel Charlo did against Terrence Crawford. He didn't even look like himself. Or did you not train good enough? Because it showed with hard work and dedication, you can jump up 2-3 weight divisions, Conor Benn, okay? And he performed well. And let's add the 14-month layoff. Don't forget about that. With a 14-month layoff, okay? Little ring rust, he still did that. Does that expose other fighters for not preparing well? You mean to tell me if you can prepare well, you can look like that? Not all men are created equal, but you know what I'm saying? Rich, what's up? What you saying over here, Rich? At 147? Really? Okay. Blair Cobbs, I guess he's riding on the high for the Canadians after knocking out H2O, whatever. He's an older gentleman. Market wise, Canadians come out. Yeah. Okay. Canada versus the UK. Where do you have the fight at? Do you have it out there or do you have the fight in the UK? Where would you think it would generate the most money? Conor's hot right now. Even if he with this loss, I truly believe his stock's gonna rise. Are we in agreement with that? Are we all in agreement that Conor's stock is definitely gonna rise after this loss? Does anybody think that this loss hurts Conor's career? His first defeat. Anybody in the chat think that this hurts him? Or do you guys think that his stock is gonna rise? So you say, okay, where do you have the fight? And are you guys in the chat in agreement with that's a good fight right there? Huh? With Blair Cobbs? You guys think that that's a good fight? Or what's up? What do you guys think? Roy Jones was 35 when he moved. Okay. Roy Jones was 35 when he moved back down. Conor Benn is young still, 28 years old. Okay. Good. Good. Right? What's up, brother? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Let's smash that like button for me. And who's gonna be the first super chat of the day? But check this out, guys. Yeah, that's true, right? And I'm not sure if age was something that had to play a factor when Roy Jones Jr. was jumping up from what was it, 168 to fucking heavyweight. He had a massive weight jump and then he came back down, right? I'm not sure if that has something to do with age or the human body, where that you are losing weight and fluctuating it out too fast for that your body can adjust. Now, the reason why we speak about certain boxing situations, is that, like, okay, for example, when we talk about ring rust, right? What happens is the difference between ring rust, uh, here you go. The difference between fight speed and sparring, right? The fighter thinks he can go into sparring and just spar and that he's ready for fight night. That's not so. Ring rust comes from inactivity for fighting pro level fights. Everything has to be all the everything has to be there. Meaning, like, what I'm trying to describe is when you spar, right? Until the fight breaks out in sparring, which typically it breaks out at the end of sparring when the coach lets you guys go at it. I don't know how everybody spars. Everybody don't train or spar the same. But typically what you're doing is you're working on some things, you're looking at your fighter, you wanting them to tight up on some things. Sparring's different. Fight night speed is way different than sparring. The speed of the fight. And that's where ring rust comes in, where that you might have been in shape, but you weren't in fight night shape. You know, the pace of the guy trying to really come at you. This guy's actually trying to hurt you and win. The crowd is there, your family's there, the nerves of the fight, the build up, the momentum. It's nothing like sparring. You can't emulate all that in sparring. So if you're out of the game for 14 months, although you're sparring strong, you're allowing fights to break out in sparring, it's still not fight night ready. You got it. And the only way you could do that is by activity. Fighting a real professional fight with this guy that's really trying to kill you, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I know that the guys in sparring are coming at you, especially if you're a world champion. Every single time a world champion comes to the gym, these young guys fight them like if they're fighting for their life, just because they want to see how they fare against the world champion. So right away, the young guys, they're crazy. They like, and the champ that comes into the gym, sometimes he knows that. And that's why they pick their sparring guys that are calm, that'll work through things and stuff. And with all that being said, I said all of that to say this, that's what Conor Benn had. 14 months also jumping up all these weight divisions. Is the boxing world going to acknowledge what Conor Benn just did? Does that give you a better impression of what could be for Terence Crawford versus Saul Canelo Alvarez? Is Terence Crawford on the level of dedication that he's telling the world, nah, these guys, all they did was gain weight and stay in shape? There's a method to moving up in weight. There's a system. You must do it X, Y, and Z. And if you do it correctly, you can move up these weights. Is Conor Benn going to get credit for that? Because according to the Charlo twin, you'll look like that, which puts fear for my champion, Terence Crawford, and I feel like he's being set up against Saul. Because you're not asking Saul to sacrifice nothing. And then they dragged him out. By the time they fight, he's going to be 38, Terence Crawford? And you know what I'm saying? Like, all the factors. But once I saw Conor Benn do that, I'm like, oh, but Terence Crawford got 10 years on Conor Benn. Can his body respond? I mean, if you're a well-conditioned, oiled machine your whole life, and Terence Crawford doesn't blow up in between fights. Rarely ever saw Terence Crawford blow up in between fights. I mean, it is possible. You know, an athlete of his status, like, he is real athletic, Terence Crawford. No two men aged alike. You know, some guys are older and still, look at Brady playing in his 40s at the top freaking level, So if you take care of your body and, it's possible. It's possible. Terence is an amazing athlete, and I saw Conor Benn do that. It made me think. As I was watching the fight, I was thinking of Terence and Saul's situation. I was definitely more on the line. Wait a minute. Terence might be able to look good too. My biggest concern with Terence is that he's going to be slow, sluggish, and he's not going to look like Terence Crawford, man. It's going to really hurt me to see him lose, where that I feel that if I was to witness a fight like that, I'm going to feel like he's going to feel inside, bro, if you would have fought me down here, this is not me. I can't get my body to respond. And now you're beating the shit out of me. But if I see you back down there, bro, it'd be different, and I don't want the fight to end in a fan like me explaining my way for him. You know, but now I feel like he can actually compete with him. So that's what makes it really for me, you know? I think I it just I just what Conor did, man, really like I got to admit. I'm like, shit. Wait a minute. Fucking this might be better possible for Terrence Crawford. So yeah. Yeah, you know, look, guys, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if you guys want to hop up real quick and give me a few minutes, you know, and say something about what direction you think some of these fighters should go, what should be like really like okay. I think a rematch clause was actually put in for this fight for the Conor Benn. I believe Ness said it on the Boxing Voice. He did say something about a rematch clause. There were a lot of rematch clause put in, like in the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. fight, but for whatever reason, they didn't come to an agreement or wasn't ready. And then there was a rematch clause in the Saul Canelo Alvarez with Demetrius Bivol, where that Demetrius Bivol even Saul denied the fight at 175. He didn't want that. He went back down to 168. Demetrius Bivol later took to social media and said, well, then I'll fight you at 168. And Saul, I guess, still refused the fight for whatever reason. Um, you know, sometimes I was just debating, well, not debating, never debating, only having a conversation with Two Tone up on the Boxing Voice. He's a cool ass dude, Two Tone and shit. Shouts out to Nessa and the Boxing Voice for letting me come on and stuff and sharing my uh allowing me to share what I know about boxing and stuff. And me and my homeboy Two Tone, he was asking me some questions about why David the Bouncer Benavidez did not fight Saul Canelo Alvarez and so forth, right? And look, guys, at what point in a boxer's career, where does he reach? What plateau does he reach? Where that you as the fan say he's given us enough blood. And where does the fighter get? Where does he get? 40 fights? 40 professional fights. Do you guys feel he should be able to call his shots if he made himself an established champion? Now, you got 40 fights and you ain't did shit, well, then you need to do something. I'm talking about an undisputed, already decorated fighter by 40 fights. Do you guys think? Nah, not 40. What about 50? It's 50 fights, enough blood where that he can call whatever shots. Is 50 enough for you? No, no. How about 60? 60 professional fights. Could that guy call whatever shots he wants? So where is it that Saul gets to the point in his career where he gets to bypass? Not, I wouldn't say bypass, because he's already in front of David the Monster Benavidez. Okay? David the Monster Benavidez wants to fight him. You understand? And Saul, he was already up there. Saul had to turn around and accept the young lion's offer. Usually, a real big lion, old lion, will turn around and smack up the young cub. This lion just brushed him off, kept going forward. So it's how you view it. Do you think that morally or honor, he should fight him for honor? Because of your opinion. Why should he fight him? One of the guys said, well, why did Canelo Alvarez fight Triple G once too many times? Why didn't he just fight David the Monster Benavidez at the time? And I said at the time, I don't think anybody really were coming out to David the Monster Benavidez fights. Triple G had a whole country behind him. Dollar and cents, fight Triple G. You weren't going to sell out what you were selling out at that time. I don't think David the Monster Benavidez was really ready for Saul at that time. He's ready for him now, yeah. But and then if we're pointing fingers, right? And I'm not coming to Saul's defense. You guys heard me talk about Saul. I've given Saul his fair share of criticism. You guys know me, right? But if we're pointing fingers of who's responsible, why Saul and David the Monster Benavidez never fought, right? Well, then David the Monster Benavidez needs to take responsibility too. Had he not lost his belt for recreational drug use, would he be in this situation? At the time. Not talking about now he's the new 175-pound WBC world champion. We all know that. Well, we're just backing up here and let's just have a conversation. That if the train went, accept it, bro. That fight ain't never gonna happen. Fuck it, it ain't never gonna happen. You know? But where does Saul get to the point where that he can call his shots? And how would it satisfy you? How would it satisfy you? What you would vacate all the belts, keep the ring, get franchised. Just I said that too one time too, right? You think Saul Canelo Alvarez is gonna? Man, hell no. That's easier said than done when you're him sitting on the throne, asking the king to relinquish his crown. Who said that? Chop his head off. Get him out of here. And his girl. Yeah, get them both out of here. Right? Right? Imagine the guy in the WBC headquarters that suggested, hey, we should strip Saul Canelo. You will pack up your shit. You will no longer work here. You know what I'm saying? They'll have you jumped in the parking lot. You know, suggesting to strip Saul. Who's this guy? How long you been working for us? 25 years? I don't know you. Get him out of here. Right? The cash cow. You guys are crazy. But honestly, guys, boxing is so to speak, a one-man sport. Every boxer has different situations and in different places in their career. No two careers are alike. And I don't think no situation is alike. Sometimes you view boxing like we view our other sports. Whatever happens with the 49ers rules will happen with the Patriots and et cetera and et cetera. Not the case in boxing, where a boxer can be further along in their career and they can be the new young gun wanting a free ride to the top. The fans clamoring for the fight, but the guy at the top doesn't feel he deserves it. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't beaten anyone. And when you think about the run that David the Monster Benavidez had, you know, he did go through a lot of, Saul opponent. One common opponent is Caleb Plant. And I guess it's up to you as, the audience to decide how did you think that beating that Caleb Plant took against David the Monster Benavidez was worse than being knocked out by Saul Canelo Alvarez? If you ask me, I think that ass whooping was worse. You know, I think being knocked out and stopped, morally on a moral standard, surviving all 12 rounds with David the Monster Benavidez just means that you took a longer ass whooping. I felt like he had a lot of success against Saul in the early half of the fight, Caleb Plant. I remember at one time I felt like Caleb Plant could have been winning in that fight, going like the fourth, fifth round. I thought at one point he was winning. I thought he was doing great. There are not too many situations where when he came into that David the Monster Benavides fight that I felt David took over. He took over in the fight. Uh, Caleb was still fighting. He wasn't getting like wiped down. Like, well, at the end, I remember there was a point. I don't know what this is what I remember in my head. I'm just, spitballing here, right, guys? I remember I said, stop the fight. I do know I remembered that. I was like, yo, stop that fight, man, ref. Stop it. Caleb's taking a beating. And I do remember saying it more than once. Looking back. Yeah. So I remember that shit. And when you take those kind of beatings, that takes years off your career. You're gonna pay for that later. Being knocked out, boom, uh but what do you view? The damage more effective? Or the fact that he was able to hear the final bell? Or the fact that he was stopped? I guess that would be up to you as a fan, you know. Which one what impressed you the most? Um, I think we're all in agreement that if we were ever, and I mean ever, get that Saul Canelo Alvarez and David the Monster Benavides fight, we're probably gonna watch it. Uh, It'll probably be one of those cases where the fight was 6 years too late, 8 years too late. Mayweather Pacquiao, right? But we still got it. We still got the fight. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. But yeah, man. In the speedos, you crazy, yo. What the hell? This text is anything, huh? But I tell you guys what, man. As far as this fight and where both men go, Conor, Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. UK had a great night for boxing. As far as their heroes, their legends, two of their sons went and put on a great performance. I've even heard some people in the chats say that this fight. What's up, Mr. Miyagi? Today's first super chat of the day. How you doing, brother? I think it's a little bit later out there, so I'm not sure if I'm saying good afternoon, what's up, nighttime, but thank you for joining the live stream. Today's first super chat comes from Miyagi, and he drops a 10-piece piece. Very good Sunday, to you, Edwin. Please give me Benn versus some names at 147. I would, yeah. Okay, let's talk about it. It would be very interesting. This fight has now made both guys next fight a great payday for whoever wants to fight. So let's go. Uh Absolutely 100%. It really doesn't. Well, I guess in a sense it does matter. You could I think both their stocks are gonna go up, but their stocks can go even further depending on the name they fight. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Cause like if Chris Eubank Jr. fought like freaking uh I think first of all I gotta decide what weight do I put him at. Do I put Chris Eubank Jr. at 160 or do I put him at 168? Or is he going like what weight am I putting him at? If I put him at he struggled to make he's gonna have to go to 168. So let's say Chris Eubank Jr. goes up to 168, right? And let's say uh Let's say he fights Christian and Billy at 168. Would the Christian and Billy or Eric fight, or even 160 with Caleb, 168 with Caleb Plant, um, 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 Callum Simpson, would those fights pay out like a Saul fight? I don't think so. I don't think so. If he was to actually fight Saul Canelo Alvarez first for Chris Eubank Jr., they sold 65 with Conor Benn. What do you think they would sell over there with Saul? 100. They would fight at Wembley Stadium. 100. Yo, he's gonna do way bigger numbers than Conor Benn with Saul. So it does kind of matter with the name, because I don't think he does 100 with like Christian and Billy. I don't think he does 100 with him. You know what I mean? So, and then who does Conor Benn fight? At 147, dropping down all that weight after gaining all that weight, we're asking ourselves, is it too dangerous? I don't know. Conor Benn is showing that with the right training, shit, there ain't nothing that man can't do. Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia. What's up? Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. Conor Benn versus Devin Haney at 147. Conor Benn versus Jerron Busan. He'll get rocked. I'm sorry I even said that. Okay, I lost my mind. Okay, let's not go too far. All right, Conor Benn, because you're gonna get hurt. Okay, I'm sorry. You're good, but not Jerron Busan is good. I'm sorry I even said that. You know what I mean? Right. Let's stay back on course. Conor Benn Rolly. You know what I mean? Now we're back. We're in a sane state of mind now of thinking. Kind of slipped there with Jerron Busanis. You know what I'm saying? I lose my mind sometimes. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Right? But what is Conor? I mean, Conor Benn got some options too. Some other big night fights. Chris Eubank Jr. got there's no bigger fight than Saul. I don't think he's gonna get him. Saul would love that shit. Just sign him up tomorrow to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Ching, can you hear free money? Like Saul is like right now creeping, like trying to get out of that Terrence. Yo, I'll fight Chris Eubank Jr. He would love that. I'm sure he would. You know what I'm saying? Payday. Can you say payday? That would be a payday for Saul Canelo Alvarez to fight Conor Benn. I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. Yeah. So, but the other side of the coin, Conor Benn, first loss. Where does he go from here? He has options too. You know, so he has plenty of options. You know what I'm saying? So, what else, guys? What else? Carmencita, how you doing? Love you. Carmencita, don't listen. Carmencita, do me a favor and hit that like button. And then I want you to go out to the store and buy 3 new laptops and 4 new phones and set up all new accounts and give me 8 more likes. You know, if you could just do that for me, Carmencita. I love you, Auntie. Chris at 168 versus Plant. I think Plant's big. You know, the thing is that we're not looking at a rehydrated properly Chris Eubank Jr. The last image I got of Chris Eubank Jr. was him like hunching over, dehydrated, fighting a whole fight, like basically out on his feet. Like I said, it was like like a wounded duck. And we all saw it with our own eyes. And he still performed well. just to make the fight. Yo, I mean, the matchmakers and the way this fight played out, you couldn't write a better script. Did you want a knockout? Did you want the night to end a little early, or would you perhaps want to see more blood? And then there was a cut suffered in the fight, which made the fight that much more interesting and appealing. I saw that Chris Eubank Jr. was coming on strong in those last 2 rounds. Honestly, I think that's what won in the fight. The last impression we saw was Conor Benn in a lot of trouble up against the rope. It seemed like something happened in this exchange. I think he got punched in the throat. He looked up and he looked at the ref, and Chris hit him. Boom. And then Conor went back. Boom. And Conor wore those punches from what arguably, a middleweight, arguably. And he took those punches, and Connor's like a real 147-pound fighter. And when he was hurting, Chris Eubank, you gotta give Conor, his chin, man. He took some big shots from that big ass dude, and he weathered the storm too. So, like I said, an amazing fight for the UK out there, man. Yo, you guys, the UK really showed up for a night of boxing. I'm not going to say that the fight card was the best. Yard, you need to go somewhere with that shit. No, I don't want to see Yard fight David the Monster Benavidez. No, I don't. David the Monster Benavidez will rock Yard. The Yard that showed up last night, what's that, their trilogy? They went 12 rounds on the trilogy? Nah. There's better competition for David the Monster Benavidez, and I want David the Monster Benavidez to show the division, the 175 division, that he's the real champ. And that he's rightfully worthy of that WBC world title. So I want to see him fight some of the top guys. I don't want to see him fight Yard. Nah. Yard, that performance you did, that shit hurts your stock. You should think about shit like that before you try to give an excuse for your next fight, leading in, and you're advertising for a big fight. Because let's remember that no matter what we like or what we deem worthy, email champion, comment aside, is David the Monster Benavidez the 175-pound champion right now? Yes or no? Is he? Yes or no? So you can laugh, you could joke, you could say email champion. Who gives a fuck what you or what I think? Oh, Edwin on Round One Sports Talk called you an email champion. And what does this belt say? Real champion, right? I keep it pushing. But I want a real challenger. I don't want Yard. I don't think with that performance he deservedly put or made a statement. I think that there's better people in the division that are rightfully deserving. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're looking at the problem with David the Monster Benavidez's ranking for the WBC, that his number one is Arthur Benavidez. The number two is David Morale. He already beat David Morale. That's where the problem lies now. Alberto Ramirez and Alexander Goose Goosey K. His last name, that should be killing me, bro, right? I can't remember anybody else right now. I gotta go look that shit up right now. Um Let me go down to let me go down to the rankings. Give me a second. All right. Yeah, David, Arthur, David Morale. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, Josh, Connor, Wilson, Hyman, Anthony Yard is the ninth. So depending on who he wants for the next for the WBC, because that could be a toss up. He's not fighting and Arthur because Arthur's already tied in with the Demetrius Bivol, and he's definitely not fighting David Morales Morale. He's definitely not gonna fight him. He just beat him. He's not gonna fight him. So it's they're probably gonna get somebody from outside of the ranking system to fight. I'm not sure. Let's find out what happens. I gotta get back locked in, guys. If you guys hear anything on the boxing news, drop it in the comments. Let me know if you guys got any video or updates. Shoot me the links and stuff so that I could because I'm doing a lot of new shit right now and a lot of things are starting to change for me. So yeah, if you guys can keep me up to date sometimes with some of these fighters and especially these UK fighters, because I got Mr. Miyagi. He always keeps me up with some of these UK fights and stuff, and I appreciate all of that. So I always value you guys' insight and what you guys got to say about these boxing matches because I'm a student to this. Always. I'm always willing, wanting to learn more and more about the stories and the fights and how people view things. Cause I like when a fight fan can come in and really say something interesting that can even make me think otherwise. I love it. I love it because it gives me a better or different perspective. And I could have been seeing something one way. We're all humans and we have a right to our opinion. And sometimes I can get lost with things. Just like the other day, I was saying that Clarissa Shield fought for a lot of vacated, but it seems like a lot of girls do. I'm getting more familiar with that. So it's up, to like what you deem is worthy for your champion and what type of competition he or she fought. So yes, absolutely. At 168, that would be a pretty interesting fight. Uh Eubank versus Sharia, so 168. Yeah, that's some bullshit, bro. You already pressured him and pressed him for the WBC. Now you dirty want to go press him for the WBA. So you want him to be the double E-Man upgraded champion of the world, and neither of those belts got another championship name behind it. I'm not sure if that's the kind of way you want to win your belts, David the Monster Benavidez. I don't run your career. You have at it. But when history goes back, they're gonna be like, who'd you fight for the WBC 175-pound championship of the world? And it's gonna say David the Monster Benavidez against Fax Machine 3000. This was the latest in machine. It was the fax machine of his day. Um, it was made in probably 2024, right? That fax machine. I'm not sure if the office had the 25 model. And what they did was they took your letterhead and notified you through that fax machine that you were upgraded to being the champion. So you took out the fax machine, you know what I'm saying? And in your second world title, you fought Fax Machine 3021. Okay? Because that would be the WBA. Like that, you don't want that. You don't want that shit, bro. That's not the way you want to win world titles. I want to be the champion. That's embarrassing. In a sense, it is embarrassing. Here comes the other champion walking next to you. Hey, yeah, what's up? Yeah. I had a epic fight for this belt right here. This belt right here? Yeah, I fought the champion at the time. Yeah, he was like undefeated. We went in legendary battle. I knocked him out in the 8th round. For this belt right here, well, this belt right here, man, another legendary fight. So and so's name. I beat him too. Hey, I see you got 2 belts. Yeah, tell me about your fights. You didn't fight anybody. They emailed. What about the other belt? That belt too is an email. Yeah, yeah. You're a world champion. Go that way with your belts. Fuck, you didn't beat anybody. You know? And these champions run into each other in the hallways. I'm hypothetically making a situation with imaginary belt. They don't walk around with their belts, but when you look into another champion's eyes or legend's eyes, he's looking back at you. What do you think he's thinking? He's giving you props for getting 2 email belts. Is that where we're going? He's giving you props. Man, you better shit. He's looking down at you, homeboy. 100%. He's looking down at you. David the Monster Benavides, from me to you, Poppy, you are the shit. You are the shit. I believe in you. I believe in you. Every fighter's career can come with controversy, but man to man, warrior to warrior, I don't have to be on the same level warrior as you, and I don't have to be able to kick your ass to be a warrior. I have a warrior's heart, and I know you do too. That's not the way to win that belt. And I know that's not the way you want it. You're better than that, David. I know, man, they passed you up for a long time, man. And for a long time, man, you were there in the division. You fucked up, bro. You fucked up. You got stripped, man. You did some shit. David, man, shit happens, bro. Should you have been punished this long? No. Should you be champion? Are you tired of people walking by you laughing that you were the 2 division interim champion? That you were going to collect all interim belts? You heard that on the internet. Did you finally say, yep, I'm with it. Strip him of the belt. Fuck that. But now, okay, you got 1 foot in the door. Now let's see what happens. Who knows if both Demetrius Bivol and Arthur Benavides go into this fight and they both retire. They throw all the belts into the pond again. Now, the first men to reach the belts, on the road to reaching the belts, that's it. It's whoever gets to them first. So, I think that, there's honor to boxing. That's all I'm saying, brothers. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to criticize or judge or to be, what's right, morally right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do, I use my, what's right and wrong, whatever. But in this situation right here, uh I'm not gonna say I agree with them even trying to go after him for the other belt, the WBA, and try to get Demetrius Bivol stripped of the other belt. Uh, I don't think that's the answer to this. I think, you know, uh, establish yourself first as the WBC world champion, right? Get a good title defense, and then work your way to those other belts, whoever may have them, whoever may win between Arthur and Demetrius Bivol. What's up? Mr. Miyagi, you said, I find it funny that Turkey offers the Smith fight for good money, according to. Okay, all right. Let me read that again. Okay, according to Samson, but won't take the fight in Saudi. And now that David has the WBC, they want to fight Smith. Yeah. All right. I see the situation. I see, said the blind man as he reached for his saw and hammer. Okay. 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 Now that we're here, we're just going to look up a couple possibilities. All right. Those are all options. There's going to be a lot of options right now. I think most of these fights and most of these options, you got to be careful at this level, right? Because a cherry pick can go wrong. Trust me. We've seen it time and time again when you pick this guy and he comes up and fucks up the whole night. So you got to be careful because what they're working their way towards is the winner of Demetrius Bivol and Arthur Benavidez. Is that not the end game? That's the end game to get. You need your fighter to get there. So picking an opponent and which one. Uh, First of all, yeah, I would like a worthy win. It's kind of like the situation Devin Haney's in, guys. Right? All right, Devin Haney. What if he would have picked a cab driver to come back for a comeback fight? He goes out there, beats whoever it was. No one's gonna give him credit. But by fighting Ramirez, he's we deem him to be a threat. Not gonna say the word worthy opponent, but a real threat. So much a threat. Some people saying Devin might lose this fight. Worthy opponent? Is it not? So when you're thinking about these fights and stuff for David the Monster Benavidez, right? You gotta get just like Devin gotta get to that Ryan fight. Shit, there's shit that can go wrong, brother, before you get to that Ryan. It's not a guarantee he's gonna make it to the Ryan. It's not a, you know what I mean? So what do? Smith, or maybe do you take Yard and go beat up on Yard? Is Yard really the best move when I don't think he's more worthy because of the performance he put on? But shit, with that kind of performance, he might be the way to go. Go beat on him on your way to the to wait around for the winner or whatever, or whatever it would be like that, whatever kind of situation. So yeah. Ah, glazing. Well, no. Hey, I gotta be the voice of reason, or I gotta play the devil's advocate sometimes around here or whatever. But what I'm saying is not always necessarily what I'm saying is these are all just questions, options, right? And I'm throwing it out there, throwing it out. Where's that going to land? You know what I'm saying? How you feel about that, right? So just other ways of viewing some of these possibilities, or you know what I mean, like it, don't I can't. The one thing about boxing, sometimes the most deserving guy doesn't always get the fight. And this day of era seems like sometimes the most popular person will get the fight. Rolly. We have some great, amazing fights coming up in May. We are days out. Here we are. What's Sunday today? Friday kicks off the fight Mexican Fight Week, and we are gonna have fights in New York City. We're gonna have Saul Canelo Alvarez fighting William Skull, and we're gonna have Naoya Inoue come to America in Las Vegas to put all four belts on the line against Roman Cardin. Very big fight cards. There are a lot of big fights throughout the fight cards. We can talk about them. Let me know what you guys think about those fights. Who do you guys got in those fights? Do you got any upsets? Do you think Rolly could possibly upset Ryan, or do you think Ramirez can upset Devin Haney? Another great fight on that fight. Do you think Arnold Barboza can become and the new against Teofimo Lopez, the WBO champion? Um, so what do you guys think? So Dave versus Yard would be the easier fight for the David, as Yards defends his. Who, Yard doesn't move his head, and that Yard doesn't have a heavy punch. If that's what you're referring to, like, yeah, um, I think David the Monster Benavides a being his. He'll just he'll hit him with so many shots that Yard is gonna actually think that there's 4 or 5 guys in the ring. David the Monster Benavides is gonna light him up. Yard is gonna turn around and look at the ref and be like, "Did you just hit me? Did you just hit me? I feel like I'm getting jumped in here." You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be more David the Monster Benavides in this room, right? In this ring, right? Because he's gonna get lit the fuck up. I don't think that Yard's pace. I think the reason why he looked and lasted that long against Arthur, right? Because you got two stiff rock'em sock'em type guys in there and shit, and it was just a battle of big men. Really, like, not really a lot of skill between the two of them. Arthur has never really been that slick skill type fighter. He just gets right to the point. That's what kind of fighter he is. Like, if I'm going to you, can you take my punch? I'll take yours. Let boom 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 boom. Arthur. He has some skill and he knows when to pull in, try to time in between shots. So no, Arthur has skills when it comes to that. But it's not like he has a multiple jab, crazy footwork, you know what I'm saying? Great evading ability. No, they're not those kind of fighters. Neither is Yard. But Yard's not strong enough to pull off that style. He's missing everything Arthur has. You know what I'm saying, so to speak. And David the Monster Benavides will light him up. He'll stop him. He will hurt Yard. So actually, that could be a good fight like that. David the Monster Benavides get, like, perhaps, you know, uh, who was it again? Oh yeah, it was Arthur and David Morrell. Yeah, yeah. He's not fighting anybody in the WBC number 1, number 2 ranking. Damn it. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So yeah, man. It's wherever it goes from here. But yeah, fight fans, listen, man. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Don't forget to hit that like button. I wanted to just hop on real quick. I got a lot of catching up to do here. A lot of work here to do right now, and I seem to just have spilled my iced tea. Okay, what do you call these again? The tea. I drink the tea, and I forget the name. But I gotta clean this shit up now. I got it all spilled here, and I don't want to sit here like this and just keep rocking my chair over it and shit type shit. So I'm just gonna end this live stream. But thank you guys for coming on. Uh, Please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. If you guys got any comments on any of these fights or any fighter you want me to talk about, just let me know in the comment section below. Mr. Miyagi, thank you for the super chat. Everybody, chat family, Round One Sports Talk family, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. You guys have an amazing day, and I'm out. Peace.